Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon when you are listening. Welcome to Run It Back, episode number 43. I'm lying to you, episode number 44, excuse me. I am your host, Menelik Fernandez. Um, no, this is 43. I've got it wrong in my notes up here for some reason. Geez, I'm a big liar this morning. Okay, so welcome to episode number 43. I apologize. So the concept of Run It Back remains the same after all of these episodes, despite the fact that I don't know which number it is. Basically, we take a game that has happened in the past and we run it back, so to speak, where we talk about the intricacies of the game, the preparation that was involved, the scouting report, how we prepared matchups, what in-game adjustments we made, what in-game adjustments we didn't make, what we liked about our game plan, and if it was effective or not. And for many of these episodes, we've been very, very fortunate to have one of the coaches from the game join us, which we do again today. So the game that we are exploring is Barking Abbey from London versus Joventut Badalona. I'm going to massacre that. I'm very sorry. That's from the weekend of February 7th through February 9th in 2020. And the coach that we have joining us today is Roberto Fois. I want to say Fois. I'm very sorry. Roberto Fois
Hi.
will be joining us from Barking Abbey. So we'll be taking on Barking Abbey's perspective. And Rob, give me a second. I'll try to do you some justice with a nice little warm welcome here. He is the assistant coach at Barking Abbey since 2019. He's also been an assistant coach for both their NBL Division One and Division Three teams, along with their EABL men's. He's been an assistant coach in the Adidas Next Generation tournament and a senior staff writer for The Shot, where he specializes on the Detroit Pistons. And he's also a founding member of the ASD Dynamo Lattice Poli Club, which is based out of Rome, which is a youth right up to men's age league club. So, Rob, I'm really thrilled, really excited to have somebody, first of all, from the UK and somebody of your stature join us today. Thank you very much for that.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. Pleasure is all mine. You were perfect with everything.
Oh, good, good. I like that. So I like to start with preparation of games usually, but before we do that, just because the majority of the people so far who have been listeners of the show are North American based, give me a little bit of a background of Barking Abbey, the age groups that you guys cover, who you play, what the structure of the league is, how pro, semi-pro is it, etc. Just give me the
Perfect.
background so that we have an idea of where you coach.
So Barking Abbey now this year start to call Barking Abbey London Lions because we merged with a BBL team, the London Lions BBL team. It's basically an academy, and our aim is to develop the player between 16 till 19, send them to college, scholarship in the States or in Europe, and try to make them better than when we than what they start to play with us. Like we play in the Division One in England for the MBL. There is a semi-pro league, and and then we have a Division Three. There is also like a men's league. It's not professional. It's just an amateur league. And then we play the EABL. There is like the big tournament, the most important tournament for the academies, the school, and that's it. Like the academy is, I think, got like 10 years old, something like that. Was started by Mark Clark, and
Okay.
right now we have like um, we have the men's team, and we have also a girls section, two girls teams. One play obviously in Division One, and the other one is playing the WBBL. They are actually unbeaten. They are 6-0. That's cool, and they have a lot of. They think they have a lot of American players as well. It's a little bit different for us because we play basically with just under 19 players versus team that have like Americans player, professional player. So it's like quite challenging for us, like go and just have a game against like a men's team when our older player is probably, yeah, our older player now is 28, but like the average of the team is 20 basically.
Right.
We have three over 20 players, and all the rest of the team that they got the major of the minutes on the court, they have from 17 to 18, 19 years old.
Nice. And give us a little bit of background of this game. So obviously it's taking place in February, just sort of before the world ended last year. And what's the structure of the tournament? Like, is it part of your season? Is it a cup type thing? Like, what's the setup here?
So basically, the Adidas Next Generation is the EuroLeague Yacht Tournament. So basically, the top teams in EuroLeague, or the teams with the best academy, are called in 4 different cities. There is like that year there was in Kaunas, in Berlin, Belgrade, and Valencia. And
Nice.
usually the structure is the the finalist goes to play during the final four of the EuroLeague. So you have like 14 going. Yeah, usually they play the actual final of the tournament is played like 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe before the EuroLeague final. And we went to Kaunas. We were selected for, honestly, I have to say that this year, COVID, non-COVID situation, we were not selected. Depends a lot, not only in your history as a team, but also like in which kind of prospect do you have. For example, there is Nanterre with Victor Wembanyama, like the 7 foot, more than 7 foot player, French. Very, it's gonna
Right,
be a,
right.
yeah. There are clips of him playing 1-on-1 against Gobert and play very well against Gobert. Yeah,
He's
he's gonna go in
he's
the
very thin
NBA.
but very tall. I know exactly who you're talking
Yeah, yeah,
about.
it's like Gobert with shooting. That's what they say. And for example, in our tournament in Kaunas, we play against Tubelis, the freshman from Arizona right now. There are a couple of already professional player like what can I say? There is Onan from Fenerbahce, is with the EuroLeague team. Even he's from, and basically all the tournament is for players born in this occasion from 2002 and below. So it's like an under 18 tournament.
Nice. And so, I mean, obviously, not only is the competition great, but like there's a great desire to win because I mean to play at the EuroLeague Final Four is and then
Yeah,
it's an incredible experience for the youth, but it's also pretty good for their exposure, right?
yeah, exactly. Like the thing, the for us, especially for us, was like the last time an English team playing EuroLeague tournament was 10 years ago or 11 now. So for us was like quite new for everyone. Like we probably us as a coach, we were feeling like, oh, we are back to a EuroLeague tournament. The
Right.
player didn't have this type of like consciousness. They were like, oh, it's gonna be just a tournament. And I remember when we arrived at the Zalgiris Arena, one of the biggest, best arena in Europe, they were like, oh, this is where we're gonna play. This is like a real tournament. There was the bus driver picking up. There were people outside. What was special also playing Kaunas, where basketball is religion. Like I remember, like sign a paper for an old guy, like an autograph, and I was like, "Are you sure you want my autograph? Like, is that real?"
Yeah, that's
There were,
awesome.
yeah, yeah. Is that kind of like when you arrive there, especially like in Kaunas or in Valencia, but whenever they do that, you feel like, oh, you feel like a pro. You feel like I made it. And then
Right.
after, I remember after 10 days, we were back in our gym, not so EuroLeague level. It's a good gym, no mistake that, but like it's not a EuroLeague stadium.
So Steph Grassiger, who did run it back, is actually very good friends with Martin Schiller, who is the head coach of Zalgiris
Yeah,
now.
and
So
he's also like Stefan. He's also friend with my head coach. So we have
right
all
on.
this connection. He's friend with Brand. They did together like the FCCC uh, coaching course, something like that.
But when Martin went over this year, I made a point of really starting to watch Zalgiris quite a bit more. Like they've obviously been great for a long time, but wanting
When
to see how a G League coach did in that environment was
yeah,
something that was of interest to me. And like you said, it's religion over there. They're one of the few countries in the world where basketball is their main sport and they love
yeah,
it. So
yeah,
you got to get
basketball
somebody
and basketball.
from over there on at some point for sure. All
Yeah,
right, so I'm sorry, but let's segue into the preparation for this game. What like how early do you know you're going to play? How many games are you playing in a short period of time? And how are you able to scout, get film on these guys, figure out who the matchups are, what you're going to do, all of that kind of stuff. Let's hear the background
so
of that.
okay, I remember. is a long short story because the thing was that that's it from my first year at Barking in London, and I was still living in Oxford. That is like 2 hours and a half, 3 hours from London, and I was like at that time I was still working like my normal job, my
Right.
non-coaching job. So I remember I just went out from work and I received a call like I just started to coach at Barking for like 2 months, and I answered. It was like was the other assistant coach, Ricky Broadmore. He told me, Roberto, do you want to do the scout for the game we are going to do in Kaunas? And I was like, well, against against which team? Badalona. And I was like, first time like of an English team after 10 years in a tournament like this. Are you really sure you want the last guy to do that? Because I was the last guy at the time, do the scout. And they were saying, yeah, it's fine, you'll be fine. I was like, okay, I'll be fine. But like for me, that was my first scout ever. In
Nice.
like yeah. Now I'm like the scout guy,
Talk
video
about
guy.
like being thrown into it.
Yeah,
Welcome to
exactly.
the fire. Here you go.
Yeah, exactly. It was exactly like that. And I remember I had a little conversation with my head coach James Veer. I was like, where do you think I can find something like? I was checking YouTube, and there is this amazing site. It's called Basque Cantera TV, where you can find everything about yacht. I mean, probably if you were playing like a Lithuanian team or a Turkish team, will be much harder my jobs. But with Basket Cantera TV was like literally very easy because basically they have like section of under 18 teams, under 16, mini basket as well, or under 14. So I was
Nice.
able to find like a Christmas tournament. I think it was the Hospitalet tournament that is very like prestigious, like here in Europe. It's close to Barcelona. And basically I just watched like 6, 7 games of them, and I watch it. I start to writing. I'm a very non-digital. I was now I'm very digital guy, but at the time I was very non-digital guy. So I just write pages of notes and everything. I went to my head coach and I said to him because it was my first time. And I said, "How long do you want? How do you want the structure of the
Right.
video? You want to focus more on offensive, defense, personal, team wise?" And he say, do what you want. Like you are free. We are gonna correct it together, or I'm
Right.
gonna clip it and we're gonna rewatch it a little bit. And for be fair to him, I did like a 7 minutes video, and he just say my perfect is 5.
Okay.
Apart from that, it was perfect. Was good. That's it. That was good. Don't be too much.
So for anybody listening later on, I'll put the link that Rob has just talked about in the description for the YouTube, the Spotify, the podcast app. So if you guys want to go check out that YouTube channel that he's referring to, that would probably be a good thing. I mean, obviously anything that's got a lot of basketball on it is great to take a look at.
Yeah.
So in your discovery along your first time, what went into your 7-minute video? What went into the page report that you were writing? What did you put in? What did you feel was pertinent about this team?
So as a Spanish team, the first things that comes to your mind when you watch it is like, damn, they play fast, they play smart. Everything is like very technical. So every pass is almost perfect, and
Right.
then they play very well. They didn't run any specific sets, and then I think is like something different probably between States or Canada and Europe. Like we don't have Yafim, maybe we don't have lot of sets. They play just some randomly motion,
Right.
but they were like they were like very precise in that every pass, every shoot was done with purpose, speed, and I was like, oh my god, they were like the number one contender for this tournament. So I was like, okay, we as a first game, it's probably not the best one because we are not like on top of that, and uh, and then I start like I remember I was the thing is was that they were very good technically, but I was recognized that our style, our type of play was perfect against them because we were too physical. We have all these like this player that comes from they are English, but they comes from Nigeria, other country in Africa, and they are literally very physical, very athletic, lungs, and we are perfect against them. We can
Nice.
just pressure.
So
Other things, yeah, sorry.
no, please go on. Don't let me interrupt you.
And the other things, the like was like they actually have a strange lineup because basically, except the playmaker, that was the smaller one, 2 to 5, they were very tall, like from 6'4", 6'5", something like that, till 7 foot, and that was like, we don't have this size. We are athletic, we are big,
Right.
but not that big.
So would you give your players an actual piece of paper that like lists the personnel, lists who you're going to guard, all that kind of stuff?
Yes, we have like I remember we did like a video session like the day before the game, and then we gave them like a paper on the hard lane where we were going there the day before, so they can start like study a little bit. On personal side, we don't have like a lot of terminology. We just have like very common shooter, 50-50 driver, and then we have this sort of green light color for each player that can be red if they are very, very dangerous,
Right.
orange or green if we think like this is like a player that is like a starting five, but we want him to beat us. We don't want the other one.
Right. And then would you include things like the few sets that they run or the fact that they're running more motion stuff? So any rules that you discover, or would you just focus more on the keys that you guys wanted to focus on?
Uh, on the video, we focus more on the sets and trends. So probably the video will be like 7 second or less team or run and gun or early entry post type of team. And then we start to, after 2-3 clips of that, we can start with some like some sets. I remember there are some UCLA sets or zipper action. So I put that just for let my player knows that, recognize that they play. Maybe they're gonna play just once, but maybe they're gonna play the whole set that I show to you. So be ready.
Right. And then like your screen coverages, do you have one base screen coverage that you want to play all the time? Or do you play different screen coverages for different personnel on their team based upon the matchup?
So usually it's personal. So if we know that the ball ender is maybe not so good, like in pull up jumper, we play like the drop coverage. But because we want to be like very aggressive from the beginning, and I think there was like a switch at some point. We moved from an hard edge coverage to a just drop coverage.
Right.
So it's like it's very like the thing was that one of the tricky part of this tournament is that we had like three. Basically, the EuroLeague allows you to have three borrow players from other teams if they have if they have the same age of your player.
Right.
So and for that we have done just two days of practice before the tournament with them. There were actually three players, so we don't want to give too much information to them. So we try to play it simple, but basically for the pick and roll, in this occasion we had like green coverage is like our drop.
Right.
Everything is based on color. We keep it simple, and red is an hard edge.
Interesting. So red is a trap for me, and my hard hedge is actually yellow. So I do colors
Oh,
as well, but I do different colors.
uh,
Um,
we have blue and we have pink for another type of situation. But
there you go. Um, so going back to your actual process, and then we'll talk a little bit about the delivery as well. There you go.
yeah,
Green is a switch for me. Actually,
oh,
James, yeah. So green is switch, and then I have purple and pink as well. So I have various colors as well. Um, you mentioned that you found the YouTube channel. You found some film on them. You also mentioned that they might throw some players in that's kind of last minute to figure it out, so to speak. How many games are you watching? And in terms of the notes, when you're watching, are you making notes at the same time, or are you watching the whole thing once, then going back, making notes, stop, start?
Uh,
Like, how's your process?
so uh, for this occasion was like very long, like was like I had 1 month just for that game, but because they knew I was working full time, so they were like, take your time, Roberto. But like at that time of my first approach at the video scouting, I was like, I used to watch from that game. I watched like 7 games from the whole tournament they did. I
Right,
just want to be very, very good in that because I understood that was I cannot mess up. If I write like if I reported that they're gonna run something and it's not, and maybe we lose by 2, is I'll make my team lose the first big games in a EuroLeague tournament in ages, and I don't want
right,
that. Right now, like I have I'm a little bit more skill and I have more technology. I watch usually 3 games, 3 4 games like the last one, or if they are like in a losing streak, I tend to watch maybe more. Just maybe I watch the last 2 and then I go back to watch like the one that they won, where they were very good
right.
because I don't want to see the blowout game. Like I don't need it. And in terms uh, uh, and I the first game that I watch, I don't take notes. I just watch it. I want even a little bit like enjoy it a
Okay,
little bit. I
right.
want to see.
Yeah,
But if I see something like very particular, like I don't know, like a um, side Spain pick and roll or like a double cross screen flare or like some magic trick, I'm gonna take a note like on my computer or whatever. But I
right,
try to watch many games as possible, even for personal. Like I'm trying to be more detailed with the personal because if I see that I don't know if I'm scouting you and you are probably like a great player, but I see in 5 games you never take like the left hand or the right hand or maybe in post you try to turn you always 90% of time you are going to the center instead of the baseline. I have to watch that and I'm gonna go to my post player and tell him that I'm trying to be more deep this year than when I was that year.
right. So then the delivery of, you touched on a little bit, but let me ask you, uh, basically it's your first big scout with the new team, and uh, your coach says, do what you got to do, we'll correct it together. I'm assuming then you deliver the scout to your coaches first. Obviously, he modifies it, but then what's the presentation like to the guys on the team? Are you giving it to everybody as one big group? Are you giving specific details to players like, hey, you're probably only going to be guarding this guy. You should be only looking for the details on him. Is everybody getting everything of everyone type deal?
Yeah, we tend to do like a team one, so everyone get everyone.
Right,
But then it's my head coach, of course, that lead the session, and maybe if I have to add something that probably is not on the scout, but I have noticed or a little bit given like a little bit more spicy to the video session, I speak. But like we try to give them everything, and then my head coach is very good in like if you are the big, I'm gonna ask you a question about the big, and
right,
we do this before the like for tomorrow. We done this today, and tomorrow in the locker room we do like a little bit like a little repass restudy again all together. And he's very good in like question players, so if they study the scout, if they are switch on, he's very good in that. And and basically that's it. If there is something like the player wants to know a little bit more deeply, of course, like maybe a little bit before the game, or they just come to me and ask me like, oh, what he does if he's like on 45, or in pick and roll, does it pop, does it. I usually tend to put everything together, so
right.
they already know they have like 100%. But if they want to go a little bit more deep, I'm the first one to go to them if I notice something more and I want them to know. Maybe I'll go to the like our starting center and tell him, look, try to make him he's a foul prone player.
So let's move away from the process a little bit, and let's ask a little bit about what were the actual specifics for this game that you felt were going to help you win? What matchups did you want to attack? What style of play did you want to employ? How many to the glass, how fast, all that kind of stuff that you thought these are the keys to the game for us, so to speak.
So the keys to the game for us will be having a high pace and high intensity, because we knew that like they have like, I checked them like before September, October. They still have like 5 player ranking top 25 for 2002 in Europe. So they are like very good team. Like there are a couple of them. They are with the Badalona team, and other 3 are playing for the like the G League team of Badalona. They're playing Leb Plata, Leb Horo, so they are already very good. But we were much deeper, in my opinion. Physically, we can like we could have been like better than them. So our main focus was like sprint, be fast, intensity from the start to the button, and let's see how the game proceed, how they're gonna react to our plan. And for be fair, I think they underestimate us a little bit. I mean, like an English team, basketball English team, you are Badalona. You are not expecting like a team good as us. You are expecting
Right.
probably like a pale player with a cup of tea, just trying to throw in some ball into the basket. But we were from the we I remember we arrived on the second half, and I remember my head coach asking to the player, "How you feel?" And the player, "We are fine, we are fine." And we were like under 6, something like that, -7. So our intention was playing tense. Let's see how we arrive at the last 4 or 5 minutes, and then let's see what's going on.
Right. What I find interesting, this is a total aside. Sometimes it's interesting to be ignorant of which clubs carry the name or have the clout. Like when
Yeah,
you say like, they are Badalona, and like to me as a Canadian, that doesn't mean very much because I don't follow your league, so it doesn't have
yeah,
that impression that somebody who would be there who's in the know would know. So like if I brought a team over and was competing, I think a lot of the guys would go in with a blank slate, so to speak, as opposed to the impression one way or another.
yeah.
Let's
Makes sense.
talk in game. What are you tracking as a coach? What is of importance to you on the sideline? What are you looking for in order to make adjustments?
So I have to go back to the game 1 second. I remember I was if you watch the game, you can see me. I was very nervous, very like anxious about that. Like I remember my father text me, "Can you please compose Roberto?" And I was like, "Oh come on, it's my first EuroLeague team." Like I was so nervous. How Firstly, defense. Like for us, like the defense side was like needs to be perfect. Like we want them to feel uncomfortable. The head coach say a lot of time, like on offense we play motion offense, so you are free sort of.
Right.
um we are not gonna sub you if you take like a shoot like 50-50 shoot and you miss it. You're gonna be sub if you don't play intensely side. If you don't know the scout, if you let a shooter probably take a shoot, you will be probably sub. So that's the kind of things. And then I remember them like they start to be very nervous with the referees. So we will
Right.
be like, okay, let's go attack them. Like let them feel pressure, go 1-on-1 and find the right shot. That was it. And for like I think we did well for majority of the time in a game, but there were some section of the game where we didn't do that particularly well, especially the first 2 quarters. We were like we didn't really play well, and we are still here, we are still competing. So that was kind of the focus. And yeah, mainly defensively was our main focus, I have to say that.
And what were the intricacies that you would be watching for on that defensive side? Like if you messed up a coverage or something, how would you implement the change? What would you be saying to the guys?
uh, if we mess up the coverage, we will be more like, I don't know, like Menelik or Bjorn. What is the type of coverage that we want to run, like specifically generically in the game, but more we were in like we have a rule is called early, loud, and continuous is
Right.
our.
Right.
I think it's not so non-common. So you have to be early in the screen coverage. The ball defender needs to hear you, and you need to do that as a collective for all the 24 seconds. If there is something missing, you can probably mess up once, but the second time you'll probably be sub because we were a 12 players team. We have players on the we were having players on the bench willing to play, so you have to be
Right.
ready.
Right.
It's now or
That's a nice
never.
problem to have when you have
Yeah,
talent all the way through, and it's like, hey man, this guy's itching to get in, so you better
yeah.
fix that. What about like from the score sheet? Is there anything at the end of the quarter, at the end of the half that you're particularly looking at to, hey, like, we're getting crushed on the rebounds, so this is what we need to do, or we're turning it over too much. What are there any of those things that you particularly zoom in on?
uh, Generically, we focus a lot on our turnovers ratio, assist turnover ratio, like
Right.
or our, of course, our shooting percentage. I remember I remember not rebound. We were fine on rebound. In that particular game, we were like very active on the board. One thing that was not on the sheet were like, I remember speaking with other staff was like, can we go very small against them? Can we go? I think like there is like a break that we have done in which the center is actually our this year is our point guard.
Right.
So we were like, can we force them to feel more uncomfortable? We put them in a situation where they were feeling pressure. They were like, oh God, they're really playing basketball. And can we push this situation a little bit more? Can we make their 7 foot players going against our 6'4" guard that is actually playing as a center? That was more not too much in deep with the statistic wise, but I remember that type of conversation. Like I was one of the major that trying for all the tournament. I was like, goes mobile, goes mobile, goes
Right.
mobile. We need them.
Interesting.
Even if our center they were playing very well. Like they were very active defensively. They were fine. So I was just a little bit more in that type of situation.
Interesting. If anybody has any questions, now's a great time to jump in.
Yeah,
Chris, I don't really understand the comment that you texted me. I'll talk to you about it
that's
afterwards.
okay. I'll get John. Just a quick question about there's what you did, but knowing what you know now, would you give more or less on your scout?
Good question. Uh, Probably because we've won. I could say no, but maybe I will put more. I realized this year that probably at this level you don't need so much regarding team scout, but probably a little bit much more into personal stuff, like knowing a little bit much better the personal. I would probably do that a little bit more. But for be honest, no. At that time I was fine. Now I'm like not satisfied 100% with that stuff. Sometimes I still watch it and I'm like, why I do that? I was like at the very first scout in my life, but no, I'm pretty good with that scout at the moment.
So
Probably if I'm thinking while I'm answering, I'm thinking like what I could have done better. Uh, I think I no, I think I've done like I've almost good scout. I will say like that.
an
I
almost
think
good
that's
start.
basically the crux of the question is, you're telling us what you did in this scout, but my question is where would you make changes? So that's good. Thanks.
Pleasure.
And I also sort of interpreted it, Chris, as like, the size, the overall length of the scout, more or less
Oh,
the same. Like,
thank. Yeah, yeah.
was it the right amount that you delivered? Was it too much, or was it like
For
too
being honest,
few?
I remember my head coach clip it like he makes like a little movie. So from
Right.
my one was around 8 minutes, and he cut it. So probably that one was the major things. Like I will do like I'm learning that probably around 4 or 5 minutes. It's like the best scout video that you can have, and I will probably try to make it like less longer. even because with like under 18 players, they tend to be a little bit unfocused sometimes. So I'll probably correct that part first, and then all the tactical basketball wise side.
Interesting. Okay, I'm going to jump into some video here. Give me 1 second just to get set up, and let me get my video panel going. And are we good with that size? Can you guys see that? Yes, no, we're good. Awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
So
For me.
like I said, I'll do each clip 3 times. Just first time, everybody can take a look at it and you can tell me if it's smooth or not. Second time, I'll try my best to describe it for anybody who's listening later and not watching with video. And then third time, it's all you, sir. Tell me about it. So the first thing I include in is one of your first sets of the game. It's a stagger away to an elevator screen. So for anybody who's listening, basically the stagger's on the offensive right side of the floor. It kind of starts with what looks like an Iverson cut over the top, but I think that was just a player being out of position. So you've got stagger away, you got a cut over the top, doesn't get the ball, goes through the elevator from the other side, and hits his 3. Talk to me about it. One of your go-tos, one of your staples, trying to send a message. How do you feel about the execution? All that fun stuff.
Let me see again. So I think like my head coach is a very he loves a lot elevator screen, and I think if you can come back, like I think you were right. Like the first movement is like actually an Iverson set. We our playbook for this tournament was not very huge. It was like just I think five or 6 action. I don't remember too well. I could be wrong, but we have like a couple of Iverson sets. So I think this one was like actually like a forgive the players like an auto situation, but where they can relate it to what we done during the season.
Right.
Uh, and I think this is one just magnificently drawn by the head coach. So as I say, he's a very good. He loves a lot the elevator, so he uses it quite a lot in this type of situation. And then like these guys, Cameron Hildred is like the prodigy of English basketball. He's going to Wake Forest University next year. He's actually like he's playing in the BBL, so he's actually playing versus against professional player.
Nice.
He's been amazing for all the tournament. He really put himself on the spotlight. I remember speaking with like an Italian scout from an NBA team about him, and he finished like in the top 5 of the tournament. And if you see the other 4 players are already very established players. There is Wembanyama from Nanterre, Tubelis, there is Marciulanis, there is like the son of the NBA player, and
Right.
he's actually he's Marciulanis Jr. He's actually like I think he's the point guard for Vilnius they play I think in Champions League, and the 5th one was Cameron. So it's like he play amazing, like, and he started well this tournament for sure.
So when your head coach gives you sets like this, like I like elevator actions as well. Certain teams like to switch ball side. Some teams switch from the help side, switch out from it. But does your coach give you alternative options if the primary action doesn't work?
Yes, usually we have like a save action. Usually at that time was around like the pinch post or the 45. Like I think if you can go a little bit back, I think the player here, if this type of action is like not working because they switch, they go over, they do something, like there is always like a guard at the top where you can reverse it and play probably a side pick and roll with an empty corner.
Right.
There, like in this case, is like a guard to guard situation. So we were like, we should score from elevator screen. They are probably not were not ready for an elevator screen after 10 seconds in the
Right.
first quarter. So
Right.
let's try. But usually, yeah, we have like a save action.
So you mentioned as we were talking that you utilized the hedge. I noticed that you started in the hedge and then went away from it. This is, I think I've got a couple clips in a row on the defending side of the ball. So, they start in the right slot. You guys hedge it. They relay the pass through the right wing, and then you get a cut from the left slot. They fortunately missed the layup.
They missed a lot. They missed a lot of layups.
Talk to me a little bit about where you're tagging from and how you teach your guys to handle cutters in this kind of scenario. Do you have any rules like smash the flash or anything like that? Sorry, Roberto, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So here, usually if we hard hedge, we don't want, of course, the side defender, like the corner defender, to be like involved too much, of course.
Right.
In this type of situation is the low guy who hits the roll, as I like to say, I like hits the roll terminology. So he did well, and then now is just like the big guy, how say I'm back, and then on the weak side here you can see on the 45, this guy like he needs to choose. Like usually we try like to make them conscious about like who are the two players on the weak side. So if he's a non-shooting or a 50-50 or a driver, we try to like on the scout. That's why we work a lot with the scout as well for this type of situation. But I think here is he was having just like a misposition with his chest. Like he didn't like actually really see the cut. He didn't hit it well.
So in an ideal world for you, this defender on the help side elbow, you would like him turned in a different direction?
We defend like we are not in the usually in a deny defense, or we usually play with the shallow triangle gaps, a sort of hack line. And in this situation, you should be like more open with his left foot to the free throw line, and probably little bit much deeper that will allow him to see both of them. Like this is open to the cut that actually happened, but he's not looking the corner. So with a skip pass, he was not seeing like the corner shooter. So he was just having like bad position in my opinion.
Fair. And with a skip pass, with a skip pass, would you X out on this? The guy that's
we X out. X out, and then the other one just
nice. We got a question in the chat. Let me bring that guy up.
Yeah.
Guards to and then X out. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. We're all on the same line apparently. And then in terms of the cut, you said he didn't really see it happening, but like, do you guys teach your guys to make contact with cutters? And what about the first step or two towards the player? Would you rather have him take more of a shallow route? And
the problem here, I think he was not like also in a good position, like speaking about shallow triangle. He was not like, we always say to them, it's 1/3, 1/3 and 2/3 in relation between the ball and the off ball and your off ball defender. So I think here he should like he didn't really do like a good job also in moving to the closeout, if I can say that.
Sorry, Roberto, I don't want to gloss over that. I think for anybody listening or watching, that's an important concept. The 1/3 and 2/3, can you describe what you mean by that in terms of?
So basically, it's like being in our shallow triangle means that you have to be 1/3 to your man and 2/3 to the on ball, like the wing with the ball. Basically, like here, if you're guarding like the top guy that is not having the ball and the ball is on the wing, you have to be in a shallow triangle position, but it needs to be like proportionate. You cannot be too close to the ball and too far away from your man without the ball. But you have to be in a position where you can actually stunt. Our defense is based a lot on stunting, and like tip your toes, sometimes in switch situation we want to be in a position where we can blitz with the opposite guard. I don't know if I express myself
Yep.
like yeah. Thank you. Like sometimes I'm a little mess still.
No, not at all. It's a complex game, and I think you did a good job.
Yeah, thank you.
And they missed the layup, so you're all good.
Yeah, like the
Um,
miss. I remember the miss a lot. Like if they score like the 50% of the layups, they probably won't win this game.
yeah, well, should have, would have, could have is often very.
Yeah, big
I
if
had a
of
lot of
like
games that I could have won, but didn't last season. So, defending this one. So first question was, have you adjusted away from the hedge here, or is he just late? And then the second question was, I mean, so they basically, for anybody listening, it's a top pick and roll. They short roll, and Barking Abbey still tags from the low man or makes contact from the low guy, as Roberto said. And when they do, he tries to force the pass over top. It gets stolen. They go back the other way. But I'm just wondering, have you adjusted away from the hedge, or was he just late? And would you like an early rotation, maybe from the top guy on the short roll, or is this the way you wanted to play it?
I think this one is just miscommunication between because it's involved one of the players that we borrow is a good player. He's gonna come to the States, I think, next year. And I think it's just miscommunication here between him guarding the ball and the guy that was a little bit late that was guarding the bigs. But on this player, like the number 9 from Badalona, late on the game, we changed our tactics. So we went from a hard hedge coverage to a drop one. And in this type of situation, we try to, well, this type of situation, for be honest, are not acceptable, should not be happen. But we try to, can you go back just a little? I want to see where was the 45 player. Yeah, I think, yeah, hero. Yeah, right here, like when they pass to the ball, the low guy should hit the roll, and then at that point is the guard is the guy. It's not the guard. It's the center right now on the 45, just going low and try to recover. But this is an emergency situation, for be honest. There were miscommunication and on the type of coverage. Probably the ball defender was expecting like an hard edge, and the
Right.
other guy was just not ready. I didn't remember this action particularly well, but I think was just a mistakes from our guys.
So mistakes happen. When it happens,
Yeah,
these guys veer switch, right? So uh, the guard ends up going to the big in from behind, and you tag
yeah.
from low. Do you have rules for your veer switch in terms of like how you teach it, what you want him to do, and when it should happen, like which one of the players are calling it?
So we have in general like we have a terminology for our switch coverage,
Right.
but was not on in the scout for this game
Right.
because they were just too big. And like you can see here, number 1 on the right side was the actual guard, was like 6'5". So we were not like on switch defensive tactics on this particular game. But usually we try to, when we want to switch, we try to also to switch like triple switching, like actual next. So what can happen is probably this one is not the perfect situation, but in a probably in like a post-action situation, we switch and then we switch again with the other big,
Right.
and the guard comes to another guard or maybe like a player less physical than the player is playing.
Interesting.
But for this tournament, I, for this particular game, I'm pretty sure we were not speaking about switching, and I think for all the tournament we didn't really want to switch a lot. Or when we went in a switching mode when we played the small ball. That probably was the only time when we were like, okay, let's just reach everything. Probably not next coverage, but just reach everything and try to 3/4 deny on the post and be active with the stance.
Nice. What do we got next? We've got another defending clip, and this is a long one with multiple closeouts. So I'll play it, I'll describe it, and then tell me sort of your thoughts, what you think about all of it. It's a longer clip, as I said, so there's a lot going on in here. Sorry, I'm getting messages for the link at the same time. I apologize.
Yeah, it's fine.
So let me wind that back and let me try to describe it for anybody who's listening. Basically, the ball's brought up in the left slot. They swing it to the point, and then they put it back into the left slot. They put it into the offensive left block, skip it to the other side, one more it to the corner, and then he drives that closeout. So that's the first probably like point I figure we'd talk about. And then on driving that closeout, they actually help down a bit or dig down from the ball side, you guys help down, dig down from the ball side, and then they skip to the other side of the floor. And I think on this skip, your number 16 kind of gets a little bit lost on the drift, ends up with a long closeout, and they hit the shot. So let me put it back, and you talk me through it. Tell me where you want to go, what you see, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And give me 1 second. Sorry.
Oh, it's fine. No worry.
We had a question in here that was, what's the rule on the ghost on the other side from the last clip? So I don't know if you want to answer that first.
On the ghost.
If they ghost out, what would be your rule in terms of defending when you were in the hedge coverage?
Yeah, if they ghost. Let me see again. I'm a very visual guy.
No problem. So we'll go back to the last clip. And here was your missed hedge. And I think James was asking, what is the rule when they ghost there? Why does that keep happening? Right there.
Oh, basically, if they ghost, our what it's all about our concept, our early loud continuous. So it's on the big defender to communicate what's going on to the guard. If this guy is ghosting, he needs to recognize that, communicate, and maybe then they can switch or they can find a solution. Like they can probably switch that. But the problem here was the miscommunication between the two players, the big one. On the ghost, I'm trying to imagine like a ghost situation. Probably if the ghost here, probably we will be fine like that. Of obviously, like with the no switching here, and this guy if he communicates well in time, loud, probably we were fine. In that type of situation, yeah, I think that communication from the bigs is the major things for us. If our bigs are not engaged, for us, we're gonna have a problem.
And just from me superficially watching this game, I don't remember number 17 for them being a very good shooter. So if they ghosted out of it, I probably wouldn't worry too much about it. I'd just chase and try and play the ball.
He actually killed us, but not with shooting, if I remember.
Right.
But I remember he killed us. Like he's very good, but like, yeah. Like,
but moving into the other one.
Real quick,
sorry, Rob.
Out on that.
What did you say, James?
The guard position.
Sorry, man. You got that Arizona coverage going on right now. We can't hear you.
The guard is also not in like a scoring position. You know, I mean, like that's
we scout them
30 feet out.
Like, so, let me see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that for me is just like a lock and trail, as we call it. Like, it's not we wouldn't hedge out, but obviously we have similar. So that's why I was. And that's not. If he goes to the basket, the guy's actually in decent position still, and you're putting him towards your defender. So, like I said, I think it's just a miscommunication by the
by the bigs one. I think so.
Misread.
For be fair with him, number 10 is one of our best player, but sometimes he's a little bit too quiet. But he's very good. Like he play a very good game in this one. To be fair to him. Manely, can I ask you like a big favor?
Yes.
I know I don't want to be super rude. Can you wait me 1 sec? I need to. I drink too much water.
No problem at all. I will,
I'll be back in
pause
1
the
second.
recording, and you take your.
I'll share my.
Guys, sorry, Chris. We're back into it. I'll share my screen again. And Rob, I want to get to that one we were talking about a little bit before we went back, which was the multiple side and multiple closeout clip. So just as a refresher, the ball's swung and swung again, put into the post. There's a skip pass and a one more. They drive the one more, so that's the first closeout, and then they just sort of lose sight of the guy on the drift. So give me your thoughts on it. How could it be better, all that? And I want to pick up the pace a little bit because I don't want to keep you too long. I know Mike's also got another call later on and all that some people want to attend. So
no, Mike, no.
But yeah, give me your thoughts on all of it.
If you can just go at the beginning, because I can go a little bit much deeper, because I think so the first things is that they had like a cross screen, right? They had a cross screen like guard to bigs.
Yep,
something
right
like
down here.
that.
Here it is.
So this one probably should not have happened. Like we try to don't switch the cross screen. We didn't want that.
Right.
But here he's doing like number 8 is doing like a good job.
Yeah.
Because
Rooted him out, we call it over here.
Yeah, he's forcing like even here like he did like a good job in terms of intensity or make the player uncomfortable. Like he's gonna receive the ball outside the block, but like even his position is not the position that we like. We try in this type of situation with a switch or a post one-on-one situation. We force him to the middle, not to the baseline. Like he can receive here, goes middle baseline. We don't want that. So the post defender should be in another position, but he's now fronting up the basket. That is good for us. If you can place a little bit, here at the skip, we did a good job here, but now go. Like the closeout is not the best, but it's not even the worst because fortunately for us, Giovanni is the big guy. It's like he's so athletic, so long that he can like actually make this not great defense seems like he's a good one, even if he in this type of frame seems like he's being just not ready. So go. And
so
then like
I got a quick question. Sorry, just before we continue on. Are you teaching your guys to close out and shade in a particular direction? And do you practice closing out with all your players the same, or do some of your bigger players close out differently than some of your smaller players?
No, we make them play all together to play the drill all together to have like different matchup like bigs with guards, wings. We mixed up a lot the things, and what we try to stimulate our players is to recognize the player that they are going to close out. So, for example, in this occasion, skip pass to this is Yannick Krak, is a barely NBA prospect. Let's say this. So he's like a driver more than a shooter. He's a good shooter, but he's not the main things. So here probably we were forced Giovanni, our bigs, to like realize, oh, I'm going to close out against Yannick Krak. So he's a driver, make them shoot. So chopping your feet, the technique is basically for everyone. The foot technique is basically the same for everyone, but is the type of like hands or the distance. Like I like the terminology like the Rondo Curry terminology, but we don't use that. Like we make like if we're gonna use it, but we don't use that type of terminology. And basically that's it. I think I have answered your question. I think.
Okay.
If you want to go deeper, you can ask me.
No, I like that answer. Thank you. I'll get into the next one. We've got another defending clip. There's a corner pin that happens. The ball is advanced to the left corner. They don't get anything out of it, so they put it into the post. And then this is what I wanted to ask about here. When your post player on the other team goes baseline, they have basically everybody above the free throw line except for their other bigger player,
Yeah.
who just kind of tees up in front of the rim, we call it here, or cuts in front of the rim. And there's a big to big pass, and he's able to get the ball. And he actually goes out to the block and gives a nice little up and under and finishes underneath. So give me a walkthrough on that. But before you do, I got a question in here.
Here, I'll just unmute.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just want to go rewind on the closeout. So obviously, closing out on shooter, closing out on driver,
absolutely.
or player. That's great. Talk about your closeout angles. Okay, so are you closing high shoulder? Are you closing square? And then body angle on that as well?
So we try to close square because we don't want. Generally, we want to close square, but that can be, it's very like can be part of the scout as well for a prominent lefty or a prominent shooter, or sometimes we try to force him like into a we call that like a trap. So but in generally we square it. So the only thing like this one is probably don't give him the baseline. We don't want give him the baseline. We rather, and that's the mistakes from Giovanni, unfortunately, is that he's giving him the baseline. Well, he didn't attack the baseline, of course, and that's probably help our defender, because here there is the 45 defender, Cameron. He stands a little and he takes like 1 second off from the ball handler. So that's the main things in the closeout. On the corner, no baseline, and majorly square.
Okay.
Then depends a lot also like on the player, if he's like a high Q player or is just like an average one. Like I can say again, like player like Cameron or Flynn as well, like the other guy, they are very high Q player, so maybe they can adjust by themselves. We are not like a team or an academy that don't force people to think. We want our players to think and to realize, to self-scout sometimes the opponents or the teammates during practice. So that's it. I hope I answered your question, Chris. You're satisfied.
That's great. Thanks.
All right. So the corner pin, the post, and then the big to big pass underneath. Tell me about like how you'd like to play it when they put all their guards above the free throw line, and helping how you want to do it on this baseline drive, or is it just you don't want to give up the baseline as you mentioned before and you're beat from that point?
So if they so we rather have like forcing them to have pull up three. So situation like this will, like if you see here, it's all related to what I was saying before, 1/3 to third proportion. And also here, here the help is fine because like it was going baseline, probably for is a little bit too much, a little bit over helping. But the problem is that this player number 8, and then even the guy at 45 is not in a good position to visualize everything. Is majorly like it's 3/3 on his man, and he's not in a good position related to the ball. That's why also you cannot see the cutter. So we have few principles, but if you stick with them, your life is gonna be definitely much easier.
So in this, an ideal way for you to play it once he gets baseline is to help the helper, have number 8 come in sooner, faster type deal.
Yeah, in that situation, it's like the help from number 6, and then the 8 like just try to take the first man, the was number 7. So here Cameron goes to help on the baseline, and he dropped. But the thing was, previously number 8 was not in a good position to see number 7. So when he realized, oh, I have number 7 is already gone. That was
Right.
the main problem. And
Right.
then here, I don't know what happened, because like a number, Veron,
He
Veron
just got
just,
really faked. That's what happened.
yeah, exactly, like a little bit like this.
All right, we'll go to the next one. It's another defending one, and this was, sorry, I was in fast speed there. This was probably one of their more common sets here. It's part of a flip series, so there's a flip, a flare screen into a ball screen. Happens
Yeah.
on the offensive right side of the floor. He penetrates. He actually gets blocked at the rim. But talk to me about like do you have this set in your prep? How do you want to play it? How do you
Yeah,
want to play the flare? How do you want to
we
play the ball screen? All that.
we had this set. I remember this particular one because sometimes the guy who flared here basically was playing like he played like a point forward type of player. So he can either be like the flare or the screener and then just leap. So we were aware about like his how can dangerous he can be in this type of situation.
Right.
So we prepare this situation actually on the scout, was definitely on the video and probably on the paper as well. Like I remember, like this is Adrian. I don't remember completely his name. It's Adrian something, and he's a very high Q player. I remember on the paper was like careful to the sleep. He tend to he's actually not a big like as a screener. He's not a really a screener. He's more as a sleep or ghost screener.
Right.
That type of player.
So
So
I
we were
actually
aware.
have a clip a little bit farther along where he slips
Yeah,
out the same action.
yeah. Was I remember that one because I think you can see me on the bench say like I put that clip from another game in the scout. Why you are not sticking with the
Right.
scout? Like it's fine. Happens all the time. It's
So
always like this.
is it your intention to switch this first screen, the flare screen, and then if not, which you don't, what's the intention on the ball screen that happens? Are you still trying to hard hedge at this point in the game?
Yeah, at this point in the game, so was fine how they did on the first screen on the flare one. Was yeah probably go a little bit. Well, it's not fine. If you can go a little bit on the screen on the flare screen, just a little.
Sure.
I think he go under. He went under. Sorry, my he went. Yeah, he went under.
And
So
did
here,
you want him chasing over top?
yeah, or chasing over top, or switch, because here's the problem. Actually, what didn't happen but should be happen is that straight ball to the flare, and from there we were late in that type of situation. He can shoot, he can put the ball, he can dribble, go to the basket, or create for someone else. So yeah, we want to go over, or if you want to be lazy, just switch that.
Okay.
But I think switch was not in the game plan at that moment. And here is like I call it like soft hard hedge, because with the hard hedge we want to force the ball, of course, to go a little bit back, at least to dribble. But yeah, we were still in hard hedge in this type of in this moment of the game.
And then you end up getting the block there. All
Yeah,
right. So offense. This one I picked, shamelessly plugging my other Twitter, my Hoop Blobs Twitter. This is a really good one that you guys had. I call it a diamond set. It ends up kind of looking like a triangle because of the spacing, but basically just a simple screen the screener action. So you screen for a slip and then you go out to the corner, got a nice corner three. I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about there other than the fact that it's great action and you get a good shot. Maybe you could let us know what your second or third options are if you don't get that shot, but I feel like you usually do in that action.
Yes, or we can if sometimes. Well, yeah, he's so far the ghost screen. I was just like realized that. Yeah, or if the defense was not very committed here, to be fair to to the action, but like if this situation doesn't happen, we can go like with a wing pick and roll, or if they switch, I think they switch here, we can just have the ball to the big guy, and then we can play like an away situation or a stagger situation with the inbound player. But actually, that was what was drawing. That was drawing in the
If you
playbook.
guys
So
want to check it out later, it'll be on Hoop Lobs, just letting you know, on Twitter.
yeah, exactly. I think I still have somewhere the playbook for the tournament, so I can double check for sure.
Nice. Here's an interesting action that I found from them. So they put the ball to the left wide slot, and then he comes for a pin down and zip action, turns into top ball screen.
Yeah.
They reverse it, swing handoff, and then play on the second side of the floor. And then again, back to this cut, which was why I put it in, where they've got this,
Yeah.
this post action happening again underneath. So give me an idea of the whole clip. What do you think? How can it be
Okay.
better?
So let me find which one we can deal with that. Yeah. Go. I'm checking. So here is fine. Here the problem comes from what I was telling before, like the post, how we want to guard the post. I think I'm just thinking right now that this is Giovanni is not one of actual player. He's playing for Charnwood, Leicester in Leicester, like academy. So he was with us for like 2 days before the tournament. He's a very coachable, very great guy, very good player, rim runner. But I think that sometimes finding yourself with a new team for and practice just twice is not really going to help you. So I think that here it just got in a way that we don't want, basically. And
Right.
here the overhelp, the I have to be honest with you, like the overhelping is like one of overhelping, like in under 18, under 19, or even under 17, is one of the top situation where you have to coach. You can use video or whatever, but it's very hard to coach, uh, to teach to a player when it's time to help or where is the right position to help, how
Right.
even how the body needs to be while you're helping. So that I found this very tricky. Yeah, it's an overhelp from previously mistake.
Here's one of your sets. It's just an Iverson cut to a top ball screen. You guys used a
Hello?
lot of the Iverson in this game. And this guy I think it's the same guy that's going to Wake Forest, has a great step through. Was it the intent to attack the double side? Or, like, did you see a matchup that you wanted to go at that you implemented this?
So
This is happening in the third quarter when you're down 7.
if you can just go at the beginning,
Sure.
please. Thank you. So here, this action is like, as you say, we have a couple of these. That came from one of the first coach at Barking Abbey, named Lloyd Gardner. He's one of the best coach in England. Like he's amazing. And is the actual action is for, of course, as an Iverson set, is to give the ball to number 10 here because he's very good in going downhill, read the ball and go. But then if this doesn't happen, and you can little bit go to the ball at number 6 here, we actually don't, on paper we don't want to play, uh, to go with to go on the 2-man side. We prefer to go to the 1-man side, but the rejection here was fine, and I think that's why this is the reason why I think you can find in this clip the reason why he's going to Wake Forest. Like
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a skilled play. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's
great
also
step
like he's amazing in these things. We were speaking about that with the other coach 2-3 days ago about his ability to go to to search in the contact going downhill, and then he's one of the best in body control I ever seen. Like in the for his age, of course. I'm not speaking about like NBA level.
Right.
I mean, he could go. I think he could have a chance in the NBA. But yeah, for under 18, under 19 player, this type of body control is amazing. Like sometimes when he take this type of, it's also like a hard, it's like difficult shot. because it's him, we are like, okay, he's gonna score it. It's almost better than like a pass to a non-shooter player sometimes, even if the pass to the corner is the right action, probably.
So I only have one more question about this clip. When he rejects and he goes towards the double side, why does that happen? When he goes towards the double side on the reject, do you teach him or any of your players some cues on the help defenders on that side? Like, I would assume in your scout, you would know if they're a high tag or a low tag or a stunting team from the double side. Are you teaching them to read shoulders, teaching him to read eyes, teaching him to read chest? Like what? I mean, to me, there's a point here where I almost feel like this should probably go out to the corner, but
Yeah.
he correctly sees the seam and gets through. So what are the visual cues that you might be giving him in order to be able to make that decision, if any?
For be honest, like we like to have the corner full, so probably in this is a reject. So as it's being played here, it's probably the way we want because we want to have the two corner defender to be engaged, to be worried. So even here, the guys on the strong side on the corner. At some moment, I was like, why he didn't cut? But I was like, it was wrong idea, Roberto. What are you thinking? So we actually play this situation. We correct like the reject situation on a two side in the best way possible. To be fair, like the fact that nobody cuts was perfect for this action.
Okay.
And for cut wise, we try to teach them like to read, of course, like the position of the defender. It's like if he's giving you the back, the shoulder, you see the chest, all these very common things. We are not trying to make them to give them too many complicated feedback or solution.
Like it. Next one. This is another one in the flip series from them. So they flip in the
Yeah.
they advance and give it back. Flip in the right slot. You get the flare screen about to happen, but it looks like you guys are about to switch, and he just reads it correctly, slips to the basket.
Yeah.
This is what we were talking about before.
Yeah.
I think I cut out you losing your mind, as you said, but you
Let
know,
me
some
see.
teaching
I'm
points
checking
from
myself.
yeah.
I was just lucky for me. I was covered by the head coach. Yeah, like I remember this action was in a game. I think was against another top team in Europe. Yeah, team Stella Azzurra, the one where Andrea Bargnani played for a while. You are from Canada,
I
so you
know,
definitely know.
Toronto guy.
So I'm a huge fan of Bargnani, so we are from the same city and everything.
Oh,
But
right
like
on.
here, yeah, he's from Rome, even if he play like in North Italy. So here, go back. Down. Here is always like the misposition, miscommunication, or majorly the position. Like, I mean, to be fair, number 33 here is being incredibly smart, great IQ. You just see for one second that our defense was not ready, was giving him the advantage space here on the right side, and he just read it perfectly. Like I think here we could have done like a little bit better job, like probably switching or be in the gap, in the right position to the gap. Fair to him, like he's a good player, so ends up. And obviously I was pissed off with my player for the video, but can happen.
So then my question becomes, initially before you said you did not want to switch the flare screen, which doesn't really end up happening here, but it looks like you're about to switch the flare screen here. Had you made the correction in game and decided that you now wanted to switch it? So
Probably, yeah. I think that in this particular situation, everything comes from the guy at the 45, not the big, but the other guard is a very a high Q player. So he probably recognized the action, and he will probably say switch, but it was just probably too late, and the big here was just staying with the game plan, and that's it.
That's
That's
it.
what happened. Yeah, probably is what happened. I'm not sure 100%. My memory can be a little bit on full side, but I think that's what actually happened.
This is a top ball screen, and then they cut the low man on it, and they end up getting the foul call. But I'm wondering, do you guys have counters for being able to deal with this? Because it looks like you're in a drop and over at this point. It looks
Yes,
like,
this is the fourth quarter, right?
yeah.
Yeah, we switched. We decided to went in drop coverage because we were like, okay, the playmaker is a good shooter, but not in pull up, so we can force him to like to take that kind of shot or having that type of like to be in that position to having that kind of decision to make like here, like in pick and roll situation as well. But here, like go. If you can go, please. Yeah, we are fine here. We also, yeah, for example, one thing here is like he found greatly like the cutter, but the thing we were a little bit more focused was he's able to pass the ball like to what I call the third man, like the this guy up on the wing position on the 45. That
Right.
yeah, that one that was actually we recognizing on the scout as a known shooter. So we mix the things, drop coverage, forcing him to have that kind of read, and then when he passed the ball to this player, let them shoot. He's a known shooter, let him shoot. The problem here it was like yeah, the guy here just stick too much with the ball and not with his man. He should have changed his position. I almost it was yeah. He should have changed the position here. The low guy, the cutter defender. But we switch on a drop coverage at that point in the game.
Yeah, I like to drop. Here's one more of your Iverson type angles. And this is, you got two in a row that end up in some really nice drop offs for the dunk. And I think I was wondering just what the cue for the cut is. So as quickly as possible, there's a cut over top of a single player instead of the double for the Iverson. There is then a top ball screen and the roll down, and they get nothing out of that. But then there's the cut from the top. And you talked a little bit about the cue for the cutting before, but that was why I put it in. And then obviously the low man messes up, steps up too high, and there's a drop for the dunk shot. But I think really my question was just the player that's at the top, what's the cue for the cutting? What is he looking at in order to react to the killed dribble underneath?
So so number 5, Hedrick, is very good off the ball. He's very good reader, shooter. So he's our guy for this type of situation. I think he already scored like a 3 in this game, so that's why his man is so lock on him.
Mm-hmm.
But then here, I think he recognized the space and he just go for the cut. Like he's a good athlete, so he's probably the first aim for him was I'm gonna go for a layup, and then they mess up and he passed the ball.
Right.
So yeah, that was connected to what I was saying before. We try to we teach them to read the position of the defender, the shoulder, the how you have been guarding, how is the position of your defender, and act about that after that.
Like it. This is, I think I got about 3 clips left, man. I'm sorry that the time is getting a bit long. I apologize.
It's fine.
Great ball
Mike.
movement in transition. There's a penetrate and drop off for another big dunk, same player in it. And I think I was just asking, are there any automatics in your transition that you see here? So for anybody listening, basically the ball's in the right point, the right slot. They one more to the corner. There's a penetration and the other team helps ball side. Kick back to the player on top. He attacks the closeout and then drops it off for your big who finishes. Anything automatic in terms of like driving opposite or knowing to attack which closeout, any of that kind of stuff that you see concept-wise in there?
So ideally, oh, thank you.
Mike making fun of me.
Fun of us. So in a perfect world, we like to have what Brad Tipton called the two-side transition.
Right.
As I was mentioning before, my head coach James Beer is he attended like a course with Brent, so they have the same type of basketball idea a lot of
I've
times.
been working on Brent for a month to get on the show. So Brent, if you're listening, get on here, buddy. We need some of that two-side transition.
And individually, we are like two-side transition, sprint to the corner as fast as you can. That's what happened. We have two players in the corner. And for the bigs, even if here we are playing just one big, usually we play spread and flow motion. So sometimes happen that we have another big. It's just rim run as fast as you can. And to be fair with Giovanni, is one of the best in England in do that. So it's so athletic. He can run very well, and you can see like I think he was at the rim run like before even the ball was after the half court. So yeah, these are the 2-3 concepts that we want our player to do in a fast break situation.
Love it. I'm not going to open the chat because I think that's people just making fun of Mike going and coming back and knowing that we'll still be going on. Late game, this is you guys are down 2. There's an inbound zip step help from. So this is their set. It's a baseline out of bounds. They inbound it, they zip up to the ball. Turns into empty side pick and roll where they end up flipping the angle of the screen and attacking. And then he on the roll manages to get to the other side and make a pretty hard layup. So help concepts, what do you think? How could you have played it better, etc.?
So here, drop coverage. The problem here is, of course, with the drop coverage is not. I mean, he's in drop coverage, that is fine, but the roller, gets behind his back at some point. So we rather having the playmaker having a pull up mid jumper here, and then the major problem is because the corner cut at the same time that the roller is rolling, but here in ideally were is just the low guy eating the roller, as I was saying before, and then the weak side guard splitting too.
Right. Kind of puts
So
your
the
low guy in a tough
combination-
position size-wise, though. He's pretty outnumbered.
Yeah, like this one is particularly tricky. Was particularly tricky for us because with that corner cut, we were like, oh, should I take the shooter here or the cutter, or was not a good team defense globally.
Here's the last 2, end of game. So you guys are down 1. This is ATO. There's 18 seconds left in the game. What did you say to your guys in the huddle? And then I'll run the clip so that we can talk about the actual action here. But basically, you get a top pick and roll and a reject. Your good player gets to the rim, has another like step into contact, finishes through the contact. The big on the other team just goes vertical. But I mean, exactly as you drew it up, or did he create something that he saw and
no? The thing is that my head coach knows Cameron Hildred very well for have been his national under-16 coach, and I was speaking with him during the tournament and even these days, and he's like, if you have a player like Cam, you just give him the ball, and he's very good in create for the others, and he's also very good. I think you noticed that going downhill, attacking the defender, attacking the bigs. So we were like, spread the floor as much as you can. Pick and roll situation with like the best rim runner or like the top 2 rim runner that we have on the roster, and let's see what happened. For me, I don't remember. I think there was an action where we didn't call timeout on this. I feel, if I don't remember too bad.
Well, you didn't do what? Sorry,
we didn't call timeout. I mean, it's like probably is just something that we spoke about during preparation game. Like if something happened, we're gonna do like this and this and that. But I don't remember. I think my coach didn't call the timeout. He was more concerned about don't let the Badalona be ready for for a set action,
Right.
just play through and see what happens. That's work for us.
So the only thing that I found interesting that I wanted to ask you about on this, I thought this was just a good player making a good play, really, right? Like, so you see he rejects up top, he goes towards the double side again, and then he avoids a charge with a really hard sidestep, finishes against contact. I found it interesting where your single side player was, and that you didn't lift him higher or put him all the way in the corner. He's kind of in between.
Like mid corner, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, am I being a stickler for details, or like, I mean, where should he be in what you guys are trying to do? Are you trying to roll this big aggressively and have a high tag on that side, or do you want him in the corner?
We want him in the corner for sure. I think he moves just a little bit, just for making himself probably in his mind probably a little bit more visible for a pass. I
Right.
think that like I think
Okay.
there's because if you look, even the other one is little bit is not so hard, but is slightly not exactly in the corner. I think is also like a type of things that we are correcting. We were correcting during our year, like corner is corner, mid corner is mid corner, wing
Right.
is wing. So that is something like this for sure.
Okay, so you guys end up going up one. They call the timeout on the other side. This is sort of the last play of the game, really, the last one that really matters. Their side out of bounds. They're on the camera side here, so the offensive left side, and they run a pin down zip action. And when they don't get it, they post the ball, and the post player attacks middle, tries to kick to the two side, which is on the other side of the floor. And again, your best player makes a great play, jumps in that passing lane, knifes the pass. He's off to the races, loses it for a second, picks it back up, gets fouled, makes the two free throws, wins the game for you, all that fun stuff. But I'm kind of curious, end the game, what are you telling your guys in the huddle being up one with, 8 seconds, 11 seconds, whatever it is on the clock?
I remember at that point we were like, we are up one. We have to stick with our principle much as we can, and just be ready. Like they are now in a bad position because they underestimate us. They already have the pressure to
Right.
prove themselves. Like uh, how this is happening. How this is happening that we are under one -1 versus Barking Abbey, and so they already had the pressure. I think was like a big factor in the last few actions. And if you come back, you can see that we are actually you can see that actually we are defending the post in the way we want. Finally, I will say, like it's forcing to the middle, to the stand, and that was it. And I actually believe that they also didn't really play well the last action. Like I don't think was designated for that type of player.
Nice. And then the question in the chat from James is if your player, when he gets fouled in the other direction, makes the first one, so you're up two, and there's roughly 3 seconds or 1 second left on the clock. Do you miss the second one if they have no timeouts? And if they have no timeouts doesn't actually matter in FIBA, James, because they can't call it during live play, right? So I mean, it does matter, but it doesn't matter the same way as it could in terms of, like, say, an NBA where they could call the timeout on the floor, is the point that I'm trying to make. But for me, the answer is no. You put the ball in the basket and you play defense for the 1 second.
Yeah. I think, did he score? I don't remember. Did he score both or he went 1 out of 2?
He made both, and then they advanced the ball with 0.3 of a second left, and they just weren't able to do anything with that.
There is actually a frame where he's turning his head to the head coach, to James, and he say, "Should I miss it? Should I don't miss it?" And we were like, "Score it."
Score. Coaches get fired over decisions like that.
Yeah, like, and then we're gonna take care of the rest, but like 0.3, they were like actually a little bit like with no chance, like 0.3. Not even Derek Fisher can score that. So
yeah, it's tough for sure. It's all I got. It was a great game. Thank you for sharing it with me. I'm very happy to have had you on, sir. And thank you for the glimpse into what's going on over there in the UK and with Barking Abbey. So I'll wind it down similar way that I always do, with a big thank you to the coaches who jump on and listen. This one was, I think you're the longest one, Roberto.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
I'm
you
a bit,
are.
I can go. I can go for more. Sorry, Mike.
You and me both, buddy. I'm good with it. But as I say every week, thank you to the coaches that have met through the various networks, like the Rising Coaches Network or the Unmasked Network. Lamar Barrett's on here, or just from coaches who want to share the game and get better and want to listen and have suggestions, all of that. James is making fun of me. I asked for 90 minutes. Are you good for a little bit of time extra? Definitely every week. But we're super locked down in Canada. Toronto's the most locked down city in North America. I just found out. So the past year has been long and arduous, and I've learned a lot, and I'm getting anxious to start implementing some of this stuff. But I can't thank you guys enough. Roberto, sharing your time, coaches jumping on all the time, sharing your time, wanting to get better, wanting to share. I think it's fantastic. We will continue next week, as we have every week for the past year so far. So I really appreciate you guys. See you next week. Rob, thanks so much.
It was my pleasure. Thank you, guys.